Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your thinking and your efforts and the staff's efforts to pull this together, and I think it's a very timely thing. UNF is about 16,500 students, and in Florida, for some reason, there's sort of become an assumption that the quality of an institution is determined by either the size of the enrollment or the size of the research budget, and that may be true, and it may not be true. What we feel is a prime focus is on the teaching component of what universities do. Some years ago, the Carnegie Foundation had a classification system that was pretty simple. They've since complicated it more, and I'll stick with the old one that categorized universities into essentially one of three categories. There were teaching institutions where the faculty members spent the bulk of their time teaching as opposed to engaging in research. There were research institutions where the faculty spent the bulk of their time engaged in research activity and less so in teaching. And then after World War II, a third type emerged as the GIs came back from World War II, and they wanted to live in the urban areas, and those research institutions were often off in the smaller cities like a Gainesville or East Lansing, Michigan, and that kind of a thing. And these were known as regional universities or comprehensive universities. Now, UNF didn't even open until 1972. We didn't have our first class until 1972, so we're one of the newest institutions in the state. But in Florida, the schools that were in Tampa, Orlando, and Miami, two of which you've heard from this morning, they decided to transform away from a comprehensive or regional institution into a more research-oriented institution. And we have hit that same crossroads, but have decided that we didn't want to do that. That University of Florida is just a few miles down the road. They have a heavy medical school presence in town. We decided that our mission was not to be a major research institution, but rather to focus on educating students to lead them into the local economy. And there's a price to pay on some of those. For example, at a research institution, faculty may teach no classes in a year. They may be then being paid for by a research grant that they're working on, or they may teach one or two. In a teaching institution, typically those are the small private schools. The professors may teach 8 or 10 classes a year. At UNF, we're really a little in the middle, but the needle is tilted more towards the teaching component because we do believe in research that is relevant to the local economy. So we teach those 6 per year. Our board has set up a series of 4 guiding principles, and one of those is what they dub relevance, that they want to be relevant to the economic needs, to the civic needs and the cultural needs of the Northeast Florida region, but at a national quality. So our focus has been on the teaching outputs. What are the students learning? Are they prepared for the workforce? Are they prepared for whatever their degree happens to be? About half of our students come from the Northeast Florida area, from Flagler County up to Nassau County over to Lake City, et cetera. About half of our students come from there, and the rest come from the rest of the state in sort of bands as you move away, and a small percentage from out of state or from overseas. But almost all of those students stay. And one of the reasons that you have an advantage when you're in a metropolitan area is that we can get internships for these students placed in the workforce, placed in their field, placed at a school, and these students are very, very satisfied with those performance. And about 90% of our students as freshmen are bright futures. And we have, among the state schools, really the highest percentage of students that are employed full-time in the state of Florida within 12 months. And it's because we have that particular focus. The last thing I'll go and then turn it over for some questions is that not really well known is that among the universities, the SAT requirements and the high school GPA is particularly high. We really rank right after Florida and Florida State. And in conjunction with University of South Florida, we've made the biggest increases in those admission standards over the last 5 years. And as a result, many people are being turned away that are applying. That's increased. But we have a great relationship with our local state college and work very, very well in coordinating those students' careers. In fact, we actually have 100 students from the community college living in our dorms, although they attend classes at the state college. So we work very well to coordinate that. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those introductory remarks. But perhaps we move first into the item of STEM. I don't know how your university is dealing with that now, what you plan to do, if anything different, in response to the widespread interest, and anything you think the system might do.
Yeah, and you and I have had some discussions about those, and Again, I mentioned in the opening comments that, that we work closely with the employers in the region. We survey the employers. We survey the employers that come to job fairs. We survey them after they've hired UNF students. And so we are very attuned to the demands of the community in the workplace. And we have a number of STEM programs, but some of our largest really are in the health-related area. Healthcare is a major industry in Northeast Florida, with the Mayo Clinic, with UF and Shands located in Jacksonville, in the public hospital, the city hospital. The Baptist Health System is actually the largest health system in the region, and then there's Columbia, private ones. So we work closely with those, the development clinics, to make sure that the students, that we're filling the needs, and that we are training the students adequately so that when they go out and are employed are performing well for those particular areas. So I think for a regional university, what the expectation should be, are you meeting the regional needs? Are you developing those industries and areas, and are you able to match your students with the jobs? A place like the University of Florida, which has a national focus.
Areas you're working in the STEM area?
Yeah, we're working in the sciences, or the natural sciences, math.
And the health area, you
the tech areas such as computing, engineering, construction management, and then health that build on the natural sciences, which would include nursing and physical therapy. So all of those that we're tied together with.
At your institution, are those generally recognized as being more expensive to promote, to provide? Are they among the more expensive disciplines?
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, in nursing, for example, you can only have really a class of about 24, because above that you can't do the clinical work. They can't be supervised adequately. Same with physical therapy. So these are smaller classes, more expensive faculty members, an awful lot of clinical work, which involves coordination with the area hospitals and medical institutions, so they definitely are more expensive. It hit a point when, several years ago, when there was a massive shortage of nurses, that the major hospital systems actually got together and raised the money for us and committed for a 5-year period to allow us to hire faculty to add another cohort of 120 nurses, 124, whatever, in breaking, I think, 4 or 5 sections out. So we really, to that extent, we even worked that closely. Of course, I'll spend every drop of their money if they're willing to send it to us, but it was a wonderful experience. And it allowed us to provide literally 120 new nurses every year that were highly sought after in the region.
How much difficulty are you having finding faculty for the nursing program?
Not too bad, not too bad. Really, the faculty that have become difficult and expensive, frankly, are in the business school. They make a lot of money over there. They do in the healthcare area as well, but we've been able to find adequately trained personnel.